Good afternoon and welcome back to The Longing, where hopefully today we're going to be leaving the Halls of Eternity, or at least getting to the doors to leave the Halls of Eternity. Fingers crossed it's today. So, yeah, what are we going to talk about today? So, one thing I'm going to say is I finally received the Dartford Crossing penalty notice or whatever it is, because I forgot to pay by the following midnight the Dartford Crossing charge, which is so dumb that it's such a short period of time. If it was a week, that'd be fine. But I think it's really dumb that it's just the following night. But anyway, I received the notice. And at the bottom it said if it's the first time you've forgotten, you may only have to pay the initial crossing charge rather than the fine. And turns out it's the first time I've forgotten, so I only had to pay the crossing charge. So rather than it being £37.50, it was £2.50, thankfully. I will, however, have to make sure that if I ever go through London again for crossing the bridge, crossing the Dartford crossing, that I remember to pay in advance or set up enough alerts that I can't forget. Oh, excuse me. But it is really stupid that it's only to the following midnight. Yeah. That's really, really stupid. But anyway, it's a minor detail. It's done with now. We can move on. In other news, I am looking at getting myself started towards buying a house. I haven't found a house I want to buy yet, but it's more starting the process of getting a mortgage in principle, seeing how much I could borrow, how much it would cost, yada yada yada, all that sort of stuff, to go with the purchase of a house. I will need to look into it further, but it is something I can definitely do. And it's definitely something I want to do. Ideally, I want to pay it off as quickly as I can to pay as little interest as I can, because I'd rather, because there was a few I was looking at and I'd be paying about 30,000 to 35,500 just in interest over the time period, which is ridiculous in my view. That is a ridiculous amount of money. So the less I can pay, the better. So I was looking at various things you can do, and one of them was reducing the repayment period from 25 years down to, for example, 15, which would get rid of about 18 grand's worth of interest by knocking 10 years off. I'd be paying more back per month, but the advantage is that I pay it off quicker, have a larger share of the house sooner, so that if I do decide to sell and move on, it's easier. Oh, not easier. I have a bigger share of the house, so I will have less. Well, I suppose it's not a bigger share really. I will have less to borrow on the next mortgage, if that makes sense. Which is always going to be good. Oh yeah. Houses are expensive, very expensive. Like I wouldn't even be able to think about getting onto the property ladder if I wasn't in the lucky situation that I'm in, i.e. I live at home with my parents, paying very little rent, which allows me to save a lot of money every month, which is, I am exceptionally fortunate in that regard, that my parents are willing to let me live at home with very little rent so that I can save up. That is I'm well aware that that is a very fortunate position to be in, and I'm incredibly lucky to be at that. But it has allowed, so effectively it has allowed me to save up not an unsubstantial amount of money for a deposit, which would reduce the amount I would need to borrow, thus further reducing the amount of interest I would end up paying. Yeah. Yeah. Next step would be, well, getting a mortgage in principle and going and viewing houses. That would be the next step. Oh, excuse me. I did not sleep well last night. It was very disjointed, my sleep, and not very pleasant, to say the least. I ended up waking up a few times throughout the night. Yeah. Basically not a very pleasant sleep. Which I don't know why, but that reminds me that I haven't done any exercise today yet. Normally I do a bit of exercise between things at work, but today for some reason I just haven't. Probably because I'm tired. So I've just not done any exercise. And when I say exercise, I just mean push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, squats, that sort of thing. Simple things just to vaguely improve or maintain strength. And vague, it's not even fitness. I'm not very fit at the moment. I need to rebuild my my energy stores and fitness levels. So yeah. We made it to the door. Well, that was very sudden. I didn't even notice it appear somehow. Also, the graphics seems to have gone a bit strange on the side. Interesting. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm not actually going to leave the Halls of Eternity, but at least we don't have to do any more walking tomorrow. I'm just going to stay inside the Halls of Eternity, just so that another day doesn't pass on our timer up here. Just purely so that, well, eventually we are going to get to a point where that timer stops counting down. Stops counting down 400 days because, well, it's got to 0. But I want to still wait until 400 actual days have passed. So there's no point running the clock down quickly. We are going to leave tomorrow. Don't misunderstand me. Tomorrow we are going to go and do something else. with our time. But not today. Not today. Yeah. Tonight, I should say, on the stream, if you've made it this far, tonight on the stream, I'm going to be hopefully finishing off the very hard difficulty of Vinculture, which is the little shop game that I've been playing. I was given a review key for, and I have been enjoying. So thank you, devs, for that. It was released last Friday, sorry. And I know of at least one or two other people that have been playing it. So, yeah, win. It looks like they played it a decent amount as well. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that and say thank you very much for joining me. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, or night, no matter what time of day it is. Have a wonderful one of it. And as always, we'll be back tomorrow with more of the longing. Goodbye.